So I know I just made a video on the F5E being like really good at 10.7. Well, this thing just got moved down to 10.0 and I kind of forgot about it. But I gave it a try. Right after I finished the video on the F5E, I played a bunch of F8U, and this thing is absolutely criminal at 10.0. I'll get into why in just a little bit, but first off, let's talk about the weapons. You get 4 of these Colt cannons that are pretty good. They still, I mean, just like everything else, they've been affected by real shatter pretty badly. I've been using ground targets. They seem to work pretty well, a lot better than the guns on the F5E and the F5C. I think those are the M39s, but that also may just be because you do get 4 of them, and, you know, having 2 extra guns does help. They got pretty high velocity, making them pretty easy to aim, and they do a solid amount of damage compared to, like I said, the guns on the F5E or the F5C. In addition to those guns, you get 4 AIM-9Ds, which, at 10.0, AIM-9Ds are solid, especially when you have 4 of them. The best part about them is that they do have a lot of range, especially compared to something like the AIM-9J, which I've been using a lot because I've been playing a bunch of the Hunter F58 and the F5E. Nowadays, after that missile change not too long ago, missiles typically don't go nearly as far as they used to, and the AIM-9D was affected just like every other missile. It's just that the AIM-9D, even with that nerf, still has a lot of range, and it's honestly one of my favorite missiles around this BR. All that said though, they do kind of have this drawback of you not being able to lead the missile at all, which it kind of makes it hard firing at close range, but that's fine. I mean, most of the time you're going to be firing from long range anyway. And when you are too close to fire the AIM-9D, you have good guns and good flight performance. Now there is one missile that this thing doesn't get that the F8E does, and that's the AIM-9C. Kind of unfortunate. I always really like the AIM-9Cs. I don't necessarily think they're like the best thing in the world, but I find that they work pretty well, especially at a 10.3 matchmaker. That's the F8E at 10.3. At 10.0 with the F8U, if this had AIM-9Cs, I would be very happy. Now, since we're on the topic of comparing the F8E to the F8U, the F8U has this little issue known as wing falling off syndrome. Now, normally I cannot stand planes that I've had this happen to, but I've been like really careful. And in my 8 games that I've played so far, I've only ripped once, and I will show you that now. In order to keep that from happening again, I went into a test flight a couple times and tested to see what the limitations were. And I kind of found that it does this weird thing where you can pull full elevator either just with your mouse or with your keyboard, and it'll pull for a few seconds, like just fine, and then out of nowhere it'll pull to like 14 or 15 Gs and your wings will absolutely snap off. So really all this really translates to in-game is just when you're going fast, make sure you don't pull full elevator either with your mouse or your keyboard for more than just a couple seconds, or you're going to fall apart. Oh, I also forgot to mention that this is with boosters uninstalled. I don't have boosters installed. I did test it with boosters installed, and it seems like the exact same thing happens, except you pull a little harder at first, and then the instructor or whatever just lets go of it a little sooner. So I've just been leaving them off while playing, so I guess it's up to you whether or not you want to use them or not. I just prefer not to. Can't remember if I said this already or not, but otherwise the flight performance with the F8U versus the F8E is pretty much the same. There's probably some like slight differences there. I don't know them, but in terms of how it's going to affect your performance while playing it, it shouldn't really affect it at all. Now, my personal experience in the matchmaker out of my 8 games has been unbelievably good. 4 of those 8 games were full down tiers to 9.0, which is just absolutely criminal. Like, dude, you're going to be going against sabers in this thing. It's insane. 2 of the remaining 4 games were 9.7 to 10.7, and the other 2 were 9.3 to 10.3. The matchmaker, even like in a full up, or not full up tier, but in a 10.7 game, this plane is still really good. I mean, yeah, even in a full up tier, this plane is still going to be really solid, but I have yet to see one of those, so we ball. I should mention, though, that depending on region, the matchmaker might be a little different, because I know I've talked to several people in the past when I've had, like, it's happened a lot when I was playing a lot of 10.7, where I would get, like, down tiers, like, every single game, and then I talked to other people who lived in other parts of the world, and they would say, like, the complete opposite happened to them. So, depending on your region, it could be different, so keep that in mind. God, I feel like I've talked so much this video so far, but, I'm gonna talk some more, except this time it's gonna be over gameplay. This is the end of the first game I played in this plane. I honestly don't know what happened to the rest of the footage. I thought I recorded it. I honestly might have just forgot to hit the record button. But there are 2 F-104s who were running away at literally, like, 14K altitude, just flying Mach 2 for some reason. They weren't AFK either. I don't know what they were doing, but eventually they do decide to fight me, so that's what I got for you today. Not gonna lie, I was a little tilted that they were just flying in straight lines at 14K, just going Mach 2 for some reason, and they were typing in chat and everything, so I don't know what they were doing, but I killed them both, so enjoy. Some of you might be wondering why I'm literally giving the F-104 my 6, and that's because the F-104 does not turn very well. I almost got killed by an invisible AIM-9B there that spawned in for my eyes at the very last second. But the reason I do this is because it's pretty easy to stay out of their guns if your plane's maneuverable, which this one is, and once they overshoot, if you have a missile, you can get it off. Especially if they do this and kind of just try and fight you for a second and then pull off way too late. I whiff a pretty easy shot here. Should have hit that. Get the aim 90, try and lock it up. I know the other one's coming in behind me, so I got to get this done quick. That didn't hit. I guess I fired it too close. It didn't pull hard enough. And now his buddy in the other F-104 should have probably killed me there. I was really slow. I wouldn't have been able to pull out of the way in time for him to shoot me, but he overshoots. I get a lucky shot and set him on fire, and he's going to go down in just a second. The first F-104 is now flying straight in below me. I thought I was actually going to be able to get close enough to get some shots off. I could have started shooting here to see if I get a lucky shot, but I didn't, and I know if I started, I probably wouldn't have stopped and spent all my ammo, so I decided to play it a little more carefully than my P-brain wants to. Now, if the F-104 wanted to, he could probably just force a stalemate, because all I'd have to do is keep staying out of his guns, because he can't really pull that hard, and he would just have to, you know, keep boom and zooming me until the game ended. Or until one of us ran out of fuel, and I have a feeling it probably would have been me, because I only have 9 minutes left. Now, when I get in a situation like this where I'm just chasing an F-104, I pretend to pull off, pretend I'm flying back to my airfield or something, which is really far, because I'm at the literal opposite side of the map. I'm behind their airfield at this point. He's going to turn back for me and try and shoot me down, but, I mean, like I said, all I got to do is just stay out of his guns, which is not hard. Oh, and then also not rip my wings off, because it's very easy to do in this plane. He follows me up here. I'm surprised he didn't just fly straight, so I, wouldn't be able to even have a shot on him at all. And since he didn't just fly straight away, I just gotta keep this distance relatively close, and hopefully he'll get in front of my guns. Almost get the pull in there. Not quite, but because, it is kind of hard to predict where someone is going to go. And he's going to put his nose down and fly away again. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did a second ago. Going to start flying away and pretend I'm not chasing him anymore. I have a feeling he's either low on fuel or getting impatient, because he turns back pretty soon, like sooner than I would expect. Like, we're just now flying parallel to each other and he's already turning around, which is great for me because he hadn't really had the time to get all that speed back. Even though you really don't need that much time to get a bunch of speed in the F-104, but he's going a lot faster than me, so he's going to overshoot, and he pulls up here when he probably should have gone down in a way, but he's going to end up in front of me. I take his shots and hit him with the first burst, so that ends the game, finally. I would have liked to show the entire game, but like I said, I don't have the recording for the beginning. Now, this next game, not really as interesting. I really wanted to show it because I haven't really shown the missiles that much, and I feel like it's what a lot of people really like to see is like how the missiles perform, so I guess this game is really just gonna show that. Oh, and by the way, this is one of those 9.0 games, which is just hilarious. See a couple F-104s high, I'm literally just gonna put my nose straight up and try and get behind this one, because I know I'm still gonna be able to get behind him in time to shoot off an AIM-9D, because like I said before, these things have a lot of range, much more than like an AIM-9J. Shoot it at 1.7, he's pulling off really fast, and I mean, as you can see, it gets there, like, no problem. I think it was even still burning. Or maybe it had just stopped, but either way. A few seconds later is a Yak-38 who doesn't have flares, so I'm gonna shoot an AIM-9D at him, and that's gonna smack him, and he can do literally nothing about it. Not too long later, there's a MiG-21 and an A-10 way down below me. Shoot an AIM-9D at the MiG-21, but not the A-10, because the A-10, obviously, I know has a whole bunch of flares, and I thought he was paying attention, but, which looks like he kind of was. The MiG-21 dies because he wasn't paying attention, and I think that was the F-13, which I can't remember whether or not it has flares. I don't think it does. Clean up the A-10 too, because he didn't really do much to dodge my shots, and then try and finish off the Yak-38 when my teammate comes in with a missile. Unfortunate. That's really all I got to say about the F-8. It's really good at 10.0. Like, it's kind of busted, especially with how many down tiers I've been getting. But I guess it's alright, because this might be my next plane I play for like a month straight. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, that's it. I'm out. Peace.